In World War II, the Soviets, Russians, they inflicted 80%, 80, of all German casualties. On the Russian side, on the Soviet side, they lost about 27 million people, right? So this is, I'm including prisoners of war, killed in action, and civilians. Total around 27 million. So when they have German tanks coming, towards them again, I suspect it leaves a pretty nasty taste in their mouth. It's not a nice reminder. And I'll say one more thing, I'll say one more thing. One of the conditions for German reunification was that, the Soviets would support this as long as NATO doesn't expand any further to the east. Okay, and I know there are people who like to say, well, this was never put in writing, and that's just a Kremlin talking point. No, it's not. It's in the British National Archives. I think Der Spiegel published last year minutes from the diplomatic meetings where they said, no, these are Western diplomats talking, say we can't put Poland inside of NATO because it'll upset the Russians, and we can't do that given the 2+4 negotiation, right? So it's very clear. They know, okay, we can reunite Germany, but we can't put these these Eastern Bloc or Russian satellite states inside of NATO. And what do? They got Germany reunited, wonderful, and then they start expanding. Bush in 2008. Bush before that, and then I'm referring to Ukraine and Georgia in 2008 at the NATO summit. Again, another slap in the face. And just every couple of years, they start adding more and more people. And just for context, since the end of the Cold War, NATO has doubled its membership. Doubled. Okay, so if you're the Russians, you're looking at this shit and you're saying we've got a pretty crappy deal. These guys screwed us. The Russians went from being, in Berlin to having Germany in NATO, and then all of the Eastern Bloc in NATO, and you can just look at whose borders, whose borders have changed. It's NATO that's moving closer towards Russia, and the Russians are the ones who've gotten a pretty crappy deal. I mean, I would be pretty pissed off if I were in their shoes. I would be very pissed off, because it's like you've taken them for a ride. You've taken them for a ride, and it's not just about the tanks as weapons of war. It's the symbolic and the historical context of having German tanks, charging towards Russian lines. No, you can't do this. It's not going to end well. And it was already bad enough before, where they were basically supplying the Ukrainians anyway. But now these are German-made tanks. Very clear, very distinctive. Look at the bright side. At least somebody's making money, right? You got to replace those tanks. Somebody's got to build new ones, and they're making money. So, it's not a bad deal for them. Not a bad deal at all.